We live in the perfect place for a short-term rental. Of course, when we're talking short-term rentals, we're talking Airbnbs, VRBOs, places people want to
rent for the week or for a couple of nights, something on the water, something with an amazing view, something that's different from home.
And we live in the perfect place for it.
Because we have water access that most people don't have. You can be here from DC in 3 hours. You can be here from Richmond in an hour and a half. And it gives you that water access. You can be on the bay with a beach and this wide open view. Or you can be, like we're in an Airbnb right now with a little creek view in the back. But you can go kayaking from here and all of those kinds of things and just spend a lovely weekend.
So who are we? We're Joshua Griffin.
And Mary Burgess.
We're with Bragg & Company Real Estate. If you're buying or selling a home in the Northern Neck or Middle Peninsula, I'll put our information down below in the description of this video.
Well, I think people are looking for lots of different things. So someone who wants to stay here, we're in Irvington right now. So you could walk to town, you could walk to restaurants, you can walk and do all of those kinds of things. And within this neighborhood, there is a dock and you can kayak from here and paddleboard and that kind of thing. If you're in Northumberland, let's say, you might go to the house for the weekend and not leave. You might bring all of your food and cook and all of those kinds of things. You might, like the house is the destination. Whereas here, there are lots of other things that you can do. So you really need to think about what you're looking for and what kind of experience you want to give to your guest. And for you, because most of the time these Airbnbs really are second homes for the owners. They're using it themselves. This is what they love. And they're sharing that with you as an Airbnb guest. So I think it really is, what do you want in a second home?
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I know you mentioned kayaking for this one, but I've been to Airbnbs where the activities are pretty evident. So I've been to short-term rentals that they had it set up to where they had the fishing rods and everything ready to go fishing right there. I've been to some that they had, like you said, kayaks, or they had a fire pit with Adirondack chairs right there by the water. All of those things play a big role in.
All of those activities are important. Because when you're coming here to spend time with your family. That's the point. So what are those activities that you want to do to spend time with your family? And sitting by a fire pit on a Friday evening when it's warm outside, it's amazing. What gets better than that?
Well, and I hate to point out the obvious, but it's not just about the activities themselves, but the property that you purchase also plays a role in what those activities can be. Because not all waterfront homes, for example, are created equal. Some have different depths of water.
Some have docks that you can bring your boat to. There are plenty of places to launch your boat around here. So if you have a boat and want to bring it for the weekend or the week that you're here and you want to keep it on the dock, absolutely. You just need to think about those things. But we're going to ask you all those questions. When you want to find a property that can be an Airbnb but is also going to be your second home, we're going to ask you all of those questions. We're going to ask you, what kind of a boat do you have, or what kind of a boat do you want? How do you vision yourself using this property? What's important to you? So is crabbing important? Is boating important? If boating's important, what kind of boat do you want? How big of a boat do you want? Will that dock really support that boat? If it's a sailboat and you have 3 feet of water, that's not going to work. You know, those kinds of questions are super important.
Well, I had one last year that it wasn't just the depth at the dock, but there was a bridge that restricted whether a sailboat could even go under it.
I've been in that position too. Yeah, absolutely. They really loved this piece of land, but it was back behind a bridge and the mast of their boat was way too high. Yeah, they would have been in big trouble. I know.
Had we not been involved, they may have bought that property only to find out the worst.
It would have been a problem.
I think another activity is just some of the things that we have here that no one else has. I did a video on Compass, which is a really cool place to spend time at. Definitely check that video out. I'll put a link to that down in the description of this video.
That's a great place to go on a rainy day. There's all sorts of games. There's a movie theater. There is a restaurant. It's a great little destination for an afternoon. They have putt-putt. They have an ice skating rink in the winter.
Which is nuts.
Which is nuts. But it's cool. I mean, it's fun.
I was there when they said, yeah, we've got an ice skating rink. And I was like, what?
What? Yeah. You what? There really are lots of things to do here, but you also have the opportunity to just sit and do nothing. You can sit on the screen porch and read a book. You can sit in an Adirondack chair overlooking the water and read a book. You can sit on the dock. You can go paddleboarding. You can do all sorts of things.
I have learned recently that we are in the know more than we're kind of a big deal. And the reason I have figured that out is we're working with other folks that are investing in short-term rentals, or they currently have one and maybe they're selling it or looking at buying another. And so there are things to watch out for, things to know, secrets, if you will. We kind of know what those secrets are now.
We do. We know the local regulations where they allow and don't allow short-term rentals, whether it's the neighborhood or the town or just the county in general. We know what those are, and you have to obviously abide by them. So we know where they are. We know where those rules apply, where they don't apply, what neighborhoods allow short-term rentals, what doesn't, that kind of thing. That makes your search a whole lot easier and faster, I think.
Well, and I think ease is the point here, because had we had this conversation 10 years ago, it was kind of the Wild West with short-term rentals. And now there are more rules. It's changing daily, if maybe yearly, but daily sometimes.
It can change quickly, but yeah, absolutely. And I think that COVID changed it all, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think that this area was kind of discovered during COVID. It was such an easy place to get to from Washington, D.C. or Richmond or wherever. And it gave people a place to go that was quiet, that was away from other people, and out of their own house.
Yeah. So not only do we know secrets, but we also know what is a good investment. So they're not all created equal. We recently were on the buyer side of one where the seller, I think they had purchased the house thinking it was a good investment, only to find out maybe it wasn't, in comparison to some of the awesome opportunities that are out there.
There are properties and areas that are a better investment than others. Some properties just offer, just by where they are, better things that people are looking for, or more things that people are looking for. How about that? Whether it's a dock or the view or a beach or something along those lines, as opposed to something that's off water that is further away from restaurants or other things to do.
I have seen folks decide whether they do or don't want to buy a home, just whether or not it can be a short-term rental.
Absolutely.
So either they want to buy it because it can be, or they want to buy it because it's not in an area where there are other short-term rentals.
Absolutely. I think that people are quite polarized by them. Whether you either love them or you hate them. You think that they're a nuisance, or you think that they have great opportunities. I don't see a whole lot of people in between.
Just real quick, I just want to touch on why certain areas can or cannot be a short-term rental. Some homes simply have it in the covenants and restrictions in the deed, so it specifically says. Yeah,
or they're in an HOA that has decided that they don't want short-term rentals, or the town or county has said, you can only have X number or whatever. There are lots of rules at this point, and we know what they are.
Yeah.
We know how to guide you. Some of them are quirky. Yes, there's a town where we sell a lot of real estate that has a density rule, and so you can't have 3 Airbnbs in a row, or short-term rentals, as we really should be calling them. There are lots of rules like that around, and each locality is different, and so that's why knowing those rules before you purchase something, obviously, is super important.
Let's talk about some of the financial upsides. There are new tax advantages that we've never seen before.
There are new tax advantages. So if you are a W-2 employee and manage the property yourself, and you're the person that spends the most time managing it, you can write off a significant portion of your W-2 income. That just went into effect, and so we are seeing a lot of people who want to purchase Airbnbs now because they can use it as their second home, they can rent it out, and they can write off an enormous amount of their income. So that's why Airbnbs are still a big draw for second homeowners.
And we're not tax experts. We don't claim to be.
Oh my gosh,
you should
no.
check with yours. But we are seeing buyers come to us interested in some of these opportunities simply because of the tax advantages that were normally in the past not available to them with short-term rentals.
Right, and they were just for real estate. They were just for like realtors like you and I, honestly. Mm-hmm. So that was opened up to W-2 employees too.
Another thing to point out is there are what I guess as a blanket statement we'll call them property managers, folks that can manage the property if you're not there full time. Maybe you live somewhere else full time, and someone that can take care of the day-to-day tasks of running that short-term rental as a business. It's something we do at our brokerage. We also have a front row seat to others. So who's good, who's not, and having a realtor that is in the know can play a big role in who you select for that as well.
Absolutely. You know what we haven't talked about yet, though?
What's that?
We haven't talked about the fact that you and I keep a list of the properties that we think would make amazing Airbnbs or amazing short-term rentals. We have a sort of a running list, I guess. When we see something come on the market, we're like, ooh, we like this. This would be a good one. And we add it to our list. So if you want that list, call us and we'll make sure to get it to you.
Yep. I've got one right now I would love to highlight, but you're going to have to call us. So yeah. I'm not going to even talk about it.
We can't talk about it.
Can't talk about that one.
Can't talk about it.
If you like this video, I think you'll like this one as well. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time.